What's up, everybody? This is Dev. I am the president of Code and Noises at DevNAri, a little two-person development studio here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Newt 1 is our flagship product. It's our first game. It's available on all major platforms, and it's been out for a little bit over a year, and we're continuing to support it, and we're even working on a DLC thing right now. But one of the main things that I believe makes the game special, of course I think this, the programmer on it, is and the musician, is the music system. So what I'm going to do today is really just kind of talk about how the adaptive music system works. I think it's pretty simple, but it's very effective in getting done what it is that it's supposed to do. So we'll hop in here and we'll take a look at one of the very first levels, because we can kind of blast through it quickly as an example of what the basics of the system does. Because one of the main things that we do at our little studio is we're really focusing on making non-violent games, and not just games where you don't kill, but games where you're actively non-violent. So you can see here when you start a level, actively constructive, I should maybe say. So you can see here when we start a level, it's dark, it's nighttime, there's stars everywhere, there's this deep, dark, droning noise that is offset by the sound that it makes when we bring something to life. And we are bringing things to life, we're not killing things in our world. And as corny as that may sound, that is one of the main focuses of what it is that we're trying to do as game developers, is make games that reward you for how much life you bring into the world, as opposed to how much death you bring into the world, or how much life you remove from it. Now, one of the things you can notice is now that we're about 33% of the way through this level, that's a percentage meter in the top there, we're starting to get some color in the background, the music is starting to change a little bit, there's a hint of rhythm and stuff, and as we wake up more objects or more items in the world, or more friends in the world, you'll see that the music changes significantly, and that's all happening in real time. There are categories of stems that are being mixed in real time against the drone noise, and that is all happening as a function of the progression through the level that the user has done so far. So what we can see here is I'm about 2/3 of the way through. The level is starting to look very colorful as opposed to the darkness that we were experiencing before. The music is starting to really pick up now that I'm about 3/4 of the way. I missed that platform by just a moment, so I'm going to have to go back around. But definitely the music is starting to really pick up now that I'm about 3/4 of the way through the level, and very soon we'll start hearing like kind of more pumping rhythmic features like the drums, and the level as we get to completion should feel very different than it did at the beginning, but we wanted that progression to not be jarring ever and really have too much excitement with it. We wanted it to be a very steady experience of progression throughout the levels, which includes both how it's progressing visually and colorfully, as well as musically throughout the levels. So those are one of our main focuses. I should mention that for me personally, it was really a mix of the Mario 64 journey that I was going for with the game. I'm in charge of the programming, the music, the high-level game design, and Ari does the level design, the art, and the storytelling. I think he did a spectacular job with all of his work. And one of the things that I think really helps it pop is his use of colors is really strong, but I don't think it's really garish. And one of the things that helps it shine is starting off a level looking as dark as this, and then slowly revealing it. Now I just received the wings, which, as we see here, deposit kind of like pixie dust as you're flying around, and also has this level of tones that happens on top of things. I'm going to hit the M key here. I added this specifically for this talk. It's a new way to represent the volumes of the stems that are happening in the game, and I'm going to keep it in actually for the DLC. I think it's pretty fun. So you can see here this volume bar for the drone is really high. We're very early in the level, 7%, so it's still the majority of the music tones is the drone. At 7%, a little bit of the percussion is starting to come in. The other groups of the stems are the melody, the harmony, drums, bass, and the accompaniment. So those are different for each world, and you can see there's this big spike that's happening on the far right, and that's the touch sound. So when I touch something, it actually is basically fading in and out. It sets a target volume for something and lerps towards it and away from it. And what that actually does is
plays an arpeggio or an arpeggiated version of the current chord or one of its related chords on top of whatever is happening. So the drone itself is really monophonic and is kind of just following usually just the roots of like the harmonic rhythm, and then that gets built on top of, as you can see here first, with the percussion and the accompaniment. And then as we progress, we'll start seeing the other bars start pulling up. So we've got this sound that is the drone that's following the basic root notes, and then the touch is arpeggiating on top of that, and so is the wing sound. So the float sound tends to be usually very high and bright, and the touch sound is usually a little bit more high mids for each level. So we're starting to see the basses coming in at about 35%. We've got a good amount of percussion, a good amount of the accompaniment. So it's still feeling kind of sparse. The main like musical motifs, like the melody and the harmony, are still pretty low. The melody's coming up on probably about 40% now that we're about 40% through. And as I mentioned before, the drums tend to be kind of the driving rhythmic centerpiece. So you'll see those still at 0 come in much later. They're the last to come in. I think they start coming in like around 80% or something like that. So there's a pretty simple equation for each one of the groups of stems that determines what its volume level will be. We're at 60%. We're just starting to see a sliver for the drums. What its volume level will be at any point in time based on the progression through the level. So this is a new way to visualize this. I literally put this in today kind of for this talk, and I'm pretty excited about it. I'm going to keep it in for the DLCs. We are working on a series of DLCs right now that we're calling Speedrun Edition. So we're releasing 5 levels specifically for speedrunners. The music system for those is a little bit different. We've seen speedrunners beat some of these levels in like 13 seconds. So we're not focusing as much on the adaptive music for those levels, but there is a bit of a secret that I'll show you in a moment that is music based for the new coming DLCs. We can see now we're at 90%, and we are getting pretty strong with a lot of this music. There's full melody, full bass, close to full harmony. The percussion is pumping. We'll probably finish this at about 99% and get out of this level. So you can see how different the volumes are for all of these by the time we get to the end of the level as opposed to the beginning. And again, it's really just fading the drone out, which I believe is pretty much a parabolic curve, as these fade in, and they each have their own really simple equation that determines their volume at any given level of completion for the level. So the next thing that is going to be added is right here. It's called Mixer Mode. It's going to be brand new in the new DLCs. And what it does is, we can see here, it's a very similar kind of interface. It looks kind of jumbled up. But what I'm doing right now is I'm taking the melody, and the left stick allows me to change its volume, and the right stick allows me to change its pan. So we can actually go ahead and remix. This is the drone. I'm going to take the drone, put all the way on the left, turn it way down. This is not a final interface by any standard, so we'll pump the bass all the way up, keep it in the middle. Let's have some really strong bass and drums kind of in the middle, and we can remix our music, and it works with the different music for each of the different realms in the game. This is going to be in the DLC that's coming out that we're calling Speedrun Edition, and this is Speedrun Edition Volume 1. There's going to be 3 DLCs coming out in the next couple months. We're going to release 5 levels in each one, and I will continue to iterate on this just kind of for fun. After that, we're going to be moving into support mode for Newt 1, and we're already starting to discuss what our next project is going to look like, but we're going to move into the prototyping stage for the next, probably for about the rest of the year before we start, like maybe around holiday time we'll probably start like development proper. But this is Newt 1. We're very happy and proud of our little game, and would love it if you would check it out. It's a little over a year old at this point, so it's kind of going through the sales cycle, so it's usually on, the price of a Frappuccino or something like that. You could scoop it up. My name is Dev. I am the president of Code and Noises at DevNAri. I'm very easy to find online. I'll
put my contact information on the screen. And this is Newt 1. It's available on all of the current platforms, PS4 and 5, the Xbox Ones, the Switch, Steam, all that stuff. So if you got any questions, let me know. I would love to hear about what everyone is working, and very happy to be able to describe and show the music system in such detail today. So thank you for listening. Cheers.